Hey guys, Martial Arts Militia here. My name is Matthew, and today's video is going to be about functional timing on Colt vintage revolvers. You guys have probably seen this firearm on my channel, specifically YouTube Shorts. It's doing really well there, surprisingly. It's a 1942 Colt Detective Special. This is a gun that I've been looking for a very long time. I saw it once years and years ago, got outbid, and I never saw it again until right now. So I paid about $883.08 for this by USPS money order. I sent that on December 7th of 2023 last year. I asked the seller if he got it 5 days later, said he hadn't. Post office has been slow. Then I don't remember when I got the notification for tracking, but it was quite a long time. I think he was taking his sweet time. But eventually I did get the notification that it shipped with tracking, and I picked up the gun on December 18th, 2023. Now to start off with, the inspiration for this video is the fact that the gun's actually defective. It's 100% defective, out of time. And I did notice that when I picked the gun up, and you do have the option to send the guns back if the sellers are not being honest about any problems with the gun. You can send it back. I think you still lose, well no, you don't lose the money for transfer, but they might try to get you for shipping. But I mean, you know, if a seller's being dishonest with you, you don't have to accept the gun. You can send it back. So of course, well, why did I accept the gun? Well, a couple of reasons. A, I know that the old Colt vintage action, it can be fixed by cylinder and slide. I knew it would be a steep price, about $200 and up probably. But you know, I'm aware that it can be fixed. Other people are too, but they're not willing to pay that much. But honestly, like, I like the old guns, and I'm okay with that cost, I guess. Not in this case, because I didn't shoot it out of time. Obviously the past owner did, but I'm just saying, you know, it can be fixed, so I was okay with that. Secondly, as I said, this is a 1942 Colt Detective Special, 2nd gen. Now the way my master taught me is that, you know, for the Detective Special you got the 1st gen, which is made in 1927 and 1933, and that's a square butt. And then Colt made these in a round butt from 1933 to 1947. So I was taught that the square butts are the 1st gen and this is the 2nd gen. But some people may refer to this and the square butt as 1st gen. You know, so however you want to interpret that, that's fine. I'm just telling you that's how I was taught, so that's what I'm referring to it as. And this is a gun that I've wanted forever. You know, it got the half moon sight, the shortened ejector rod, you got the checkered cylinder release. It had everything I wanted, including the round butt, of course. So I've only seen this that I wanted years ago, and I bid $1,200 for it, and somebody outbid me. And it was many years until I saw it again here, and so I just felt like, man, you know, there were no red flags from the seller as far as I could tell. Like, he didn't, I mean, he screwed me, but obviously he didn't like say it in the description or anything like, you know, tricky language, anything like that. He just made it sound normal. And so, you know, I got screwed there, but I wanted this for a long time. And so that was kind of a semi-reason I wanted to go ahead with it. Now the last thing too is that, you know, as I said with the past one, I was willing to go $1,200 and somebody outbid me. So even though the seller screwed me at $883 and I paid $200 to fix it, that'd be about $1,100. So I'd still be losing about $100. I'd be saving $100 than if I got the last one that I wanted. The only difference is that it's defective and I have to wait, you know, months and months to get into cylinder and slide for them to repair it and stuff like that. I also kind of wanted to hear the seller's story. You know, because it's always, I think it's fun when people try to come up with excuses, you know, the hesitation type of a thing. So that's why I accepted the transfer, or I'm a glutton for punishment, I don't know, but that's just what I wanted to do. Plus I kind of wanted to see if he would cover any of the expenses to repair, because, I mean, you know damn well what you did here, you know, and just kind of see, you know, hopefully the honesty of some people, or in this case, businesses. Now, before we get into the Colt being out of time, I have to show you what I mean when a revolver is in or out of time. So an example I have is the new Colt King Cobra. So remember, this is a completely different timing system than the old ones, like this Detective Special. So much so that Colt will not work on the old revolvers. They refuse to do so, but they will work on the new ones because the new ones have LL2, linear enhanced leaf spring. So it's a much more simplified system, probably similar to a Smith where parts are doing 1 or 2 jobs at most. With the Colt Vintage, they could be doing 3 or 4 jobs at most. So when you think you solved the problem, you may have just created more problems. It's not kind of like a drop-in replace like a Smith and I guess these new Colt revolvers. So when we talk about timing, okay, what we're looking at are 2 main components. We're looking at the cylinder hand and the cylinder bolt, and they are going to be right here. You see this guy? This guy right here. He is a cylinder bolt, okay? His job is to keep the cylinder in place. So there are locking notches on the gun, the revolver, you see that right here? That's where the cylinder bolt fits into, here and there and there. And when it falls into that, the cylinder can't move. That means that the cylinder is perfectly aligned with the barrel, right? So then when you shoot, you're not gonna get any problems like shaved lead or an improved explosive device in your hand, okay? It makes everything perfectly set in place in stone. Another part we wanna look at is the cylinder hand, and that's this guy right here. And let me show you what he does. He kind of pop, oh, hold on camera. He pops out. See how he moves? His job is to push these notches right here, this ratchet. It pushes that, which would turn the cylinder, right? Pretty neat, right? Those are the 2 main components. That's their job, okay? When everything's working fine, everything's working fine. Now, with the hammer and the trigger, they're going to be actuated by the bolt, right? So the hammer is actuating the trigger, the bolt, the cylinder hand. It's making them all move in conjunction. And with the typical timing, so we're not talking about Colt Vintage timing, we're talking about the typical timing, these things should happen, right? When you move the hammer, the bolt, you see how it's in place right now? It has to remove the bolt, because if it doesn't, it just stays like this. So when the hand lowers the bolt, see, now you can turn the cylinder. Oh, hold on. Oh, okay, so this system won't do it. But let's look at a Smith & Wesson Model 10-7. What I'm trying to do is when the bolt is lowered, you can turn forever, okay? Because the bolt's lowered, nothing's keeping it in place. Obviously that gun has a system on its own that doesn't let you do that, but that's what I'm trying to show you, okay? When the bolt is lowered, okay, because when the hammer is sitting here, the bolt's in place, it doesn't move. When it's lowered enough, you can move the cylinder. And then when you full cock the gun, it doesn't move either because it's right back in the locking notch, right? So that's the first thing that happens, is that the cylinder bolt drops. It allows the cylinder to move. Not in this case. This gun's a little iffy on that. But anyways, that's his job. And then what's going to happen after that is the bolt pops back up. So the bolt pops back up, and it's going to be pressing on these areas until it falls right into the locking notch again. So he drops and he pops back up, and he's waiting to fall into the locking notch. And then when he does, he's in place. Hammer's fully cocked. Pull the trigger, gun goes off, okay? So you might not be able to see it. I'll try, but so you'll see the cylinder bolt right there, okay? Now when I move the hammer, he's gonna drop. He popped back up. See, he's waiting to get into the locking notch. We get him to the locking notch, and he's gonna lock into place right there. And then I'm going to cock the hammer because it's not fully cocked yet. Now I can pull the trigger. See? So that is the typical action for a revolver. That's how that works, okay? Now, when we're looking at a Colt Vintage revolver, how is that timing different? One of the things that D. Ferris Wheel, he's a pretty famous guy on the Colt forums, he says that the cylinder bolt moves instantaneously as soon as the hammer is moved. So when you start to move the hammer a little bit, the bolt's already moving. Now I'll try to show this, it's kind of hard, but on the Colt King Cobra new one, and then the Smith, they won't move instantaneously. They'll kind of just, there's like a tiny bit and it won't move. So you have to be really careful to catch it, but hopefully we can do it. So there's the bolt there. If I move the hammer a little bit, right? The bolt doesn't move at all, even with that little bit, no movement, okay? Let's go back to the Smith. It's gonna be a little harder to see, but so you see that bolt right there, right? If I move the hammer just a little bit, the cylinder bolt isn't moving at all, even with that little bit. If I go to a vintage Colt, so we can try the broken gun right here, the bolt's gonna move instantly, okay? So as soon as even the little bit, see that? It's already moving. The bolt's already moving with that tiny bit of movement. We can also try the Colt Official Police. Hopefully that one you can see better, right? As soon as I move the hammer, the bolt is already moving. That tiny movement's enough for it to move instantaneously. Let's try a Colt Trooper, shall we? This is not a 3, this is a regular one. So once again, that bolt, it moves instantaneously as soon as the hammer. And then our favorite, fan favorite, the 1966 Colt Python. Also, the bolt moves instantaneously, right? Oh yeah. So with the Smith and the new Colt King Cobra, they don't move instantaneously, but the vintage Colts, they do. That's one way that the Colt action is. Vintage Colt action is far different than any modern revolver, like a Smith or anybody else. Now another thing too is that when the bolt pops back up, it pops back up in, okay, I was curious. Because you know how the Colt King Cobra didn't let you do that? It wouldn't let you move even after the bolt was, oh it does. Oh my gosh. Okay, I must have pushed it too far. Anyways, so when the bolt pops back up, it's supposed to pop at the last 2/3, okay? So not too early, not too early and not too late. In the Colt, in the defective gun, it doesn't pop up at all. If it pops up at all, it's really late or not at all. So hella broken. But anyways, what's supposed to happen is that the bolt drops probably about 66% is the way that D. Ferris Wheel explains it. So with the Colt Official Police, it's gonna drop, and see it's a little bit of a while. There it goes, it pops back up. And then this isn't a good example, but I'll see if we can do it. So it should go the locking notch first and then the hammer cocks. But this gun is really close to each other. It's almost simultaneous that the hammer cocks and then the locking notch, or the bolt folds the locking notch almost instantaneously, so it's not a good example. But what I was trying to say is that let's try the Colt King Cobra new one. What's supposed to happen is that the locking notch falls into place first and then the hammer fully cocks at the end, right? So this won't do that. This actually pops up really fast, actually. It doesn't pop up at 66%, it pops up instantaneously, but we'll drop it, it'll pop right there already. It's gonna fall in the locking notch first. Come on baby. Right there, it's in the locking notch. Okay, and then the hammer cocked. Okay, I was gonna show you that it was in there, but it's kind of hard to catch. Let me try one more time, huh? I want to catch it where it goes the locking notch first. Well, hold on, I gotta do it left-handed, I think. So we want to catch him in the locking notch, right here near the end somewhere. Right there, see? He doesn't move, he's in. And then I can cock the hammer, and you can shoot the gun, see? That's what's supposed to happen in the Colt vintage action. So the Colt Trooper isn't a good example. I don't know if it falls into 66%. Ooh, actually I think it does. This one does fall 66% into the lead ramp. So that is correct. Of course, the bolt moves instantaneously, which is correct. And then as far as it hitting the locking notch and then being fully cocked by the hammer, it's pretty close, so not a good example. We'll try one more time, but it's really hard to catch the locking notch and the hammer cock because they're so close to each other. Let's see. Ooh, we got him. That was just the locking notch, and then that was the hammer. So that was so good. I gotta catch that one for you guys. So I'm gonna try to catch it with when it's in the locking notch, so I can prove to you that it's locked, and then cock the hammer, and then that's the correct Colt timing. So we already know the bolt moves instantaneously, and that's fine. It pops back up about 66%, pretty good. And then of course we want to catch the locking notch first. Come on. Ooh, there it is. See, it's locked. And then the hammer cocked, and then you shoot it. So this would be a pretty good example of how the Colt vintage action should be in time. Let's see if we can get the same with the Colt Trooper, shall we? So we already know it moves instantaneously, but let's see if we can catch him. If we can catch the locking notch before the hammer cock. So right around here. My thumb's getting tired, so come on. Oh, it's because my arm is tired. But yes, you know, basically I know all of my Colts to be pretty good. To be pretty good in time. I'd be very surprised if any of them were not in time. Or at least the sellers were honest when they sold the gun to me. Come on. Ooh. Ah, okay, I remember now. The Colt Trooper is very interesting. I don't know if it's getting out of time or not, but if you do it slow enough, you can get it to where the hammer cocks before the cylinder locking notch was in place. And I'll prove it to you here, because the locking notch is not in place. The hammer is, you see that? But the locking notch is not. Now it is. Okay, and I did try an experiment where like, okay, well, if I do it slow enough again, which is annoying, and I can get it, nope, oh, that wasn't. Let me try it one more time. If I can get it to the hammer cock first before the locking notch fell in, if I catch it after pulling the trigger, I think it's in time. So let me see if I can get it. Yep. So when I pulled the trigger, it was in time. And I've heard people say that's correct, but then what I showed you was also correct. So I don't know if the action of the vintage Colt's a little finicky or, you know, kind of different type of a thing. The Colt Python, look at this. I know you guys love this. I love it too. So let's see if we can catch him. I don't think he will. I think he's perfectly in time though. So we got, ooh, okay, so he's in the locking notch. Now the hammer's cocked. So that's the way the Colt action is supposed to work. Let's go back to my lovely, expensive paperweight. So the 1942 Colt Detective Special. So it's in the locking notch right now. Okay, and yes, it does move instantaneously when the hammer is moved. Man, it's hard for the camera to focus, huh? I think it's on my beautiful face. It's it can't decide. Should it focus on the gun or this beautiful man? But anyways, so when I cock it, the cylinder bolt's not going to pop back up. So I'm going to cock it. It goes down, and it never it never comes back up again. And you can see how badly out of time it is. Yeah, that's a handheld improvised explosive device. That's really, really bad. So yeah, the bolt didn't even pop up. It's not in a locking notch. You could fire out of time. You see, if it was slightly out of time, you'd get some lead shavings. If it's really bad, you'd have a nice handheld grenade. Really, really bad. Now, if I pull the trigger on it, I think it does catch itself in time. Here it didn't, because you can still push it into the locking notch. Right there. Okay, so you know, it's not in time. It's not in time. It almost looks to me like the cylinder bolt was messed with, or maybe the owner, the seller, like tried to do something to it, which, you know, anybody in the martial arts can tell you, if you try to mess with the vintage Colt action, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You're going to create more problems than you've ever imagined, and you're going to be real sorry about it. So for me, just my luck, I got screwed with that. So with that explanation all done out of the way, I do kind of want to talk a little bit about, you know, the seller himself. So after seeing that the gun is clearly, you know, out of time, I went ahead and speak to the owner. I think it was the owner. I think his name was Mikey, Mikey of Crown Firearms. I don't know if that's the name, because I've also seen it like Crown Precious Metals. So I don't know if he has two names for his business, but so anyways, you know, I talked to Mikey on the day of. You know, I talked to him on the day of. I talked to him a little bit about the, you know, the Colt Detective Special, explained to him how the gun was out of time, that the repair for it would only go to a specialist such as Cylinder and Slide, which is a very long waiting list, over 6 months to a year, and that it's very expensive, at least $212.50 the last time I checked. And I just kind of wanted to see if he, you know, if he knew what he done and he was going to take some responsibility for it, and he really accepted only 50% of it. He said he accepted 50% of the cost of the $200 to repair it. He was also under the impression that any gunsmith could correct it. He really actually thought that, yeah, you can just take it to any gunsmith and fix it. And that could be innocent, but it could also be deceptive. Let me explain why it's deceptive. If he knew that the gun was out of time and he knew it couldn't go to any other gunsmith, if I was born yesterday and I didn't know my martial arts and I went to some gunsmith and they were foolish enough to work on it and it's broken completely or has even more problems, then he can obviously say, well, I don't know, right? Plausible deniability, I don't know, that's on you, it's your fault. You know what I mean? So it's a little shady is what I'm trying to say. Now he's been in the business for 10 years. That's how long his business has been in, it's about 10 years, you know? So even if you are a martial artist or not, you would know, right? I feel like anybody would know that the vintage Colt action, I know it's a little old at this time, but I'm 35. I knew, you know, that you don't mess with stuff like that unless they're highly trained specialists. So really, again, it just seems like it's a convenient way for him to escape liability. If I was dumb enough to actually give it to a gunsmith and they were dumb enough to actually try to work on it. Now he alleged the gun was not out of time, but it did take a while for him to send it. And also, you know, it took him a while to send it, and I didn't want to ask again because I already asked, but, you know, I don't know. You never know what happens. Sometimes people, they sell something and they're like, okay, well, we'll just shoot it until we have all our fun and send it over. I don't know. You saw how badly this gun was out of time. So if he had test fired it at all within like the last month or 2 months, I mean, he can't. Mikey, does this look safe to you, Mikey? Mikey, look at this. Does that look safe to you? No. Look, most revolvers that aren't vintage Colts, they have some play. Okay? Look at that. That's some play, but hardly any. That's perfectly fine. You know what I mean? For your 10 years in the business expertise, I don't think you're going to tell me that that's normal. You know what I mean? Like, where's the locking notch? You shouldn't. You know there are locking notches on here, right? That's where the cylinder bolt goes into. So, I mean, it just seemed like he had his answers were very like lawful, you know, like how do I escape responsibility, right? What words do I choose? That's kind of the feeling I got from this dude. Now, but yeah, if the gun was not out of time, I'd like to know what his understanding of that is. Like, what do you think a gun in time looks like? You know, if you thought this was just fine. I also asked him if he owned a Colt revolver, and he said he never did. Okay, so again, you know, along with the send it to any gunsmith. No, I've never owned one before. He wasn't out of time. You know, these are just really shady answers to me. Very convenient answers for plausible deniability. Now, as he said he'd cover half, he did honor that. His check arrived on December 29th, 2023. It was written on the 20th. And he actually paid $112 instead of the 106 or what something it would have been. So we actually covered 52%. Big whoop. Anyways, instead of an $883.08 paperweight, once I cover the other half, I would ultimately have paid $983.58 for a working gun. And I do have full faith and confidence that Cylinder and Slide can do that. I don't think that they have any problem with that at all. I just have to deal with the weight. So a lot less than $1,100 that I would have, you know, essentially paid for. $1,200 I would have essentially paid for, but still, I got screwed in this deal. Now, with cylinder and slide, the reason I'm making this video is because I'm going to send it off tomorrow. I was under the impression that it was really too early because when I spoke to Cylinder and Slide, I asked to be put on their wait list. So the retime service on their website is CR044. That's a retime of the cylinder, $212.50, which is about 2.5 hours of labor at $85 per hour. Now, when I called them, this was on December 19th, they said that they were on a 24-month backlog, but they didn't think it'd take that long. And so I asked the lady to be put on the waiting list, and she said, okay, it could be anywhere from 6 months to 12 months. And I was like, cool, I was placed on the waiting list. So after that, I called 6 months later on June 19th, 2024 for an update. The lady, she changed what she said before. She said the wait list is from 6 months to 1 year from now, not including the 6 months you already waited. So 18 months in total. So I don't know if maybe the first lady didn't put me on the wait list or forgot to, or that it was really 18 months the whole time. So of course, I don't check my email often. I just don't, you know, I have it, but I mean, I don't look at it very often until I noticed an email on the 24th, October 24th. And it was from Cylinder and Slide, and they said that they were ready to receive the pistol. So really it'd be about 10 months in total. So like, oh, okay. So that's why I had to kind of make this video, because, you know, with 6 months and then a year later, that's 18 months in total. So I thought I had a lot of time to go ahead and make this video, but now that they've kind of said, yeah, we're ready for it. Oh, okay, that's why I had to kind of make this video, you know. So just to kind of show you guys, since we won't see it for a long time, and then again, I do believe Cylinder and Slide can absolutely take care of this. And yeah, I just wanted you to have a better understanding of, you know, Revolver timings and Colt vintage timings. Don't mess with that stuff. Okay, it should be a pretty common sense information in your martial arts journey. Now, as a final aside, I would like to have a little bit of some words with Mikey. Mikey, he's been in the business for 10 years. Well, you know, the business that you're in is it's a very important business. You know, it's kind of like a blacksmith in the old days before we had the superior martial art. We had swords and spears, you know, and the blacksmith was trusted to make a good product, you know, and if there were ever any issues, you know, the blacksmith would not screw over the martial artist. He would say, you know, there's some problems, you know, you want to buy it at a reduced price, or they give you full warning of what's wrong with it, right, Mikey? Okay, things like that, and then, you know, the martial arts can decide. And the thing is that, you know, you did not give me full disclosure, full truth, full anything. You know, you were able to swindle $883 from me, you know, for a broken gun. But if you had told the truth, right, let's just look at that. What if you told me the truth? The gun's completely out of time. Cylinder bolt doesn't pop up at all. You're looking at a $200 repair, easy. If you told me the truth, could I have walked away? Absolutely. But I also could have said, oh, it's broken, I'll give you $500 for it, because it's only going to cost me $200 to repair it, so I only lose $700 in total. If you told me the truth, that's what I would have said. So now, was it worth for you to swindle $183 more? You know what I mean? People talk about bad experiences far more than they talk about good ones. I don't know why. Humans are just negative, right? But in the martial arts, we are basically a family. You understand? There's martial arts in Africa, Asia, Europe, Latin America, right? We're bounded by something much more deeper than race or culture or anything, right? We have a closer bond than that. And then to think that that's how you treat your family? Listen, I know we're not flesh and blood. We're basically family, right? How do you think you'd feel if somebody did that to your actual flesh and blood family? Swindle them for some money, trick them, lie to them, try to deceive them. It wasn't out of time when I had it. Just from Pennsylvania to South Dakota must be a lot of hills, I guess, right? To knock it completely out of time. Or what else did you say? You said, oh, anybody could fix it. I mean, you know, you could have killed somebody. Like, it's lucky I got this. I got this, and I can see with my martial arts knowledge, hell no, this isn't a safe gun. But you could have sold it to somebody who had no idea. And if they're lucky, they would have just got some lead shavings. If they're unlucky, they could be dead. If that blood is on your head, I mean, does that, I don't know, does that come across your mind? I can't judge you as a person, right? I can judge your actions, what you're doing. Your description never said anything that the gun was broken or defective, you know? And like I said, like, I would have given you $500 for a broken gun. I'm cool with that, right? If you told me the truth. But, I mean, I don't know. I think you should ask yourself if you're in the right business. You want to be working with people and I mean, I guess you do more than guns. Precious metals, you do gold and silver, okay. Do you screw them over too? I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. In Southeast Asia, we believe in something called karma. You know, Southeast Asia is like 99% Buddhist. Karma is a big thing, you know what I mean? And what it essentially is that you should be good. Because when you do good, good comes back to you. Now, it's the same thing for evil. You want to do evil, guess what? Evil comes back to you. And there's a particular kind of evil that's worse than what happens to you. For example, it could be something that happens to your I'm not threatening you. This could be something that happens to your friends or your family, someone close to you, you know? Because karma is very vengeful, you know, very just too. So when you do things wrong, you gotta think, are you only harming yourself, your reputation, or the ones you love? Now, I'm gonna wish the best for you. And I hope the $183, I don't know, I hope you buy a nice seafood dinner. And I suggest seafood dinner because that has omega-3s. Seafood has the highest omega-3s, better than any plant product. Your body needs omega-3s and it doesn't make it. I mean, I guess you probably heard chicken dinner, but chicken's as good as a fine second, but honestly, seafood is, you know, much, much better. Now, for everybody else, it may seem that, oh, I'm very reasonable, I'm very calm. Don't get me wrong, I'm livid, I'm pissed off, and I'm angry, but these emotions don't really do anything for you. You know what I mean? Anger, you know, depression, sadness, they get mixed in together, you know, and I'm sure we all felt that when we were kids and we didn't get what we want. But on this channel, I want you to be better. I want you to be better than you think you can be, because I know you can be better. That goes for you too, Mikey. So I'll get this fixed, and I would say be more honest with the people you work with. And if you're gonna buy a gun from Mikey, Crown Firearms or Crown Precious Metals, I would ask what's wrong with it, okay? And if he plays the plausibility deniability game, walk away. Also, I would say that being sold as is doesn't protect you from deception or fraud. So, you know, just because something says as is and it's completely broken from description, you can still get a legal case out of that. The law is not going to protect lies or deception. No, I'm saying if it gets that bad, you know. Maybe you bought something more than $883 paperweight, I'm saying, but just for you guys to know, okay? Mikey, please do better. Everybody else, I want you to do better too, okay? I don't really have much more to say. I think I've blabbered on long enough. I hope the revolver timing video was useful for you guys. Maybe you got something useful out of it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video, okay? Bye now.
You learned martial arts! Martial arts, good!